Hello everyone, here's the next video for the Floral Compost Activator. I have a special guest today. It is the 20th of May 2025 and I've invited James Millton, the somewhat famous New Zealand wine grower, winemaker, to come and share his perspectives on the work that we're doing. I think it's really important that we take this work to the biodynamic professional growing community and see what they need from us, what we need to be researching, looking at, and how we can be of use to both biodynamic growers and also the organics and the non-organics. That we need to bridge some gaps. So James, hello, good morning, thank you.
Good morning, good evening.
We also have Kate here from JPI from Toronto. So my hope today was for James and Kate to bounce some ideas off each other, and we take this a little bigger, more expansive. So to start off with, perhaps James, if you could introduce yourself, and then Kate, you introduce yourself, and then we see where we go from there for 10-15 minutes.
Hello, everyone. I'm James Millton. I live in Marlborough in the North Island of New Zealand. In the north of the South Island of New Zealand. I've been a wine grower all my life. When I was 7, I wanted to grow vegetables. When I was 14, I wanted to ferment fruits. And when I was 21, I was learning my wine growing from the masters in the old world. I've established a winery in Gisborne, New Zealand with my late wife, and she is now running that estate in Gisborne. It's the oldest biodynamic wine estate in New Zealand, most probably the Southern Hemisphere, and maybe within the 10th oldest in the world. That's now I live down here in Marlborough, and I'm doing mentoring and consulting and trying to convince people, leading horses to water and trying to make them drink, actually. So that's exciting times, and it's nice energy down here in New Zealand and in the South Island here, with the Alps and the mountains and the sea and everything else that goes on. Exciting times. It's really good. A new chapter. The apple has fallen.
Thank you. Kate, do you want to say a little bit about, like as a fresh introduction, so James can learn a little bit more about you, particularly your role with JPI and hopes for the future of biodynamics and what we're doing with this floral compost activator research?
Yes. So my name's Kate. Hello. I am an urban biodynamic gardener, very much self-taught in just the north of Toronto in Ontario. I have a small lot here that I grow raspberries and blackberries and elderberry and haskap and many, many perennials and a lot of flowers. And one of the challenges for me has been sourcing preparations, making my own preparations, and also just the challenge of connecting to mentors and connecting to people that have the experience in the field and have really been doing this work for a long time. And so in so doing and trying to create my own biodynamic compost that I had a lot of trouble sourcing really high quality animal manure. I was searching online for how to make biodynamic compost and came across, of course, Katrina's beautiful work at Blue Borage, and started following her on social media and was immediately just so enthused and overwhelmed with joy at finding this woman who had such a passion for not only biodynamic compost, but biodynamics, and also for returning and embracing, creating a bridge for Indigenous plant knowledge and the Maori techniques and the Maori language around plants, and asking for humility and asking for permission to use and grow and be with these plants. And so there was a real, Katrina calls it her degree in eco-fluency. But for me, I've learned an incredible amount already in the very short time that I've been enrolled in this floral compost activator course that Katrina has created on her Blue Borage website. And kind of around the same time that I was starting to connect with Katrina and signed up for the Floral Compost Activator program, I also was hired as a freelance writer for Josephine Porter Institute, which is based in the US. And they are swamped and have so much work because they're one of the major preparation makers and they're a very small team. And so they said, could you come and help write some of the biodynamic calendar indications? Because my background is in film and television and storytelling and writing. And so I was like, yes, absolutely. I would love to do that. And so I started writing about our project. And I also started to do a deep dive into unsung heroes that many people don't realize or don't know about their work. And May Bruce fit that category so beautifully. And also, then we decided to try and start to spread the news about this and applied to this to the International Biodynamic Research Conference, and lo and behold got in. And so things got kind of more serious than originally, I think. Katrina moving house and me puttering in my backyard trying to learn how to make really beautiful biodynamic compost. So I humbly come to the table here knowing that you guys have certainly much more experience, but I'm a very enthusiastic learner, and I love telling the story of the flowers, and I love learning and seeing biodynamics through your eyes, Katrina, and as well James, to have that much experience and to be in such a time of transition for you as well. There's so much opportunity there's so much hunger from my cohorts that are so ready to learn about all of this incredible brilliance that you know that you've practiced. So for me, it's really exciting to be here. But yeah, with that, I am complete.
Thank you. I think there's a warning there. If you get a storyteller to write a funding application or a research proposal,
you might get in.
Yeah. So with that, James, would you like to share your views on this floral compost activator research? Just where do you think we should be taking it? What should we be looking at? What would be useful to the wine growing community? And then I think we'll stop record and have a little brainstorm session about what next.
Well, like as Kate says, I'm overwhelmed with your enthusiasm, Katrina. And I see it as, let's just say, a new beginning. Hence my background here. It's a sunrise activity that is happening after 100 years of Steiner's education. And making the preps is one of the most rewarding things to do for the environment, for the culture, for society, for the people. But finding all the receptacles for those preparations, as in intestines and stag splatters, to name two. From an urban point of view, it's a little bit it's a little bit overwhelming. Kate did use this word challenging, and I always am saying now in biodynamics there's no such thing as a challenge. It's just an opportunity that we haven't yet revealed, because we're looking at the positive energy all the way through. Bio, life, dynamic, energy, biodynamics. And when, in the short period of time I've been speaking with Katrina about floral activator, I suddenly think, oh my goodness me. And what May Bruce did, I think, oh my goodness me. May Bruce came out sort of 10 years after Steiner, or yes, about then?
15
years after Steiner. And from the yin-yang point of view, and from what was happening in society 100 years ago, between two wars, the interpretation that May could have on making these indications practicable and possible is amazing that you've picked up on it, because now we're going to be able to bring biodynamic. Now you are bringing biodynamics into the urban environment and to gardeners and orchardists and anyone else for that matter, but you're actually urbanizing it, which I find intriguing, because one is led to believe that agriculture belongs in the rural environment. And now we're going to get the motivation of people living in towns and villages and cities waking up like the sunrise and going, oh my goodness me. And you, Katrina, and me, we have talked about, have you ever asked what the food you eat eats? And when you go into a market or your backyard to a market to buy your vegetables, you don't know what those vegetables have been eating. Whereas in your own backyard or your own common property or your own allotment, you can know full well what your plants have been eating. And the interesting thing, just from an example, is take a carrot, for example. If you grow a carrot biodynamically and you grow a carrot and you have a carrot from the supermarket, it's just a carrot. It just looks like a carrot until you slice it and eat it. And 40 years ago, this person said to me, taste this carrot. And I said, yes, it's a carrot, okay? He says, yes, but can't you taste the sweetness and the density and the nutrient density and just this flavor that sort of came into your mouth? And this is where I think that we're coming to now in the sunrise situation, is that we're starting to see what it is that we're eating. So with the floral compost, it now becomes quite possible to do these things quite quickly, if I'm led to believe that's the direction. But what intrigues me, and maybe Katrina, you can tell us more about this, is that you're using these floral pieces, but I have the impression you're activating it with a little bit with honey. And when you think of the kingdom of the air and the light, it's a bee that is living in that environment. You think of the kingdom of the earth and water, it's the earthworm that's activating that part of light. And also the hexagon of the honeycomb. And, you know, you're just bringing air and light into this whole decomposing process. And that's what I'm intrigued about. That's what I'm interested to learn about. I think that's what we've all got to learn. It's not trying to shortcut the biodynamics, but it's actually trying to make it accessible for the next round of people to become more aware as to what it is they do with their head, heart, and hands.
Thank you. What do you think we should be trying out to make this appealing to wine growers?
Well, of course, wine growing is in the rural environment. It's in the agricultural, the horticultural, the viticultural environment. And to make this available to wine growers, I think, as Steiner says, seek the truly practical material world, but seek it so that it does not numb you to the spirit, which is active in it. And so as wine growers in general, the interesting thing that throughout the world, one of the most advancing avenues for biodynamic activity is in wine growing. And you have to sit there and go, oh my golly, that's the end product is alcohol, and Steiner didn't like alcohol too much. And so there's an oxymoron there. But the funny thing is that with a glass of wine, you're dealing with sweet, sour, salt, astringent, and umami, and you're dealing with luminosity, and you're dealing with vinosity, and you're dealing with all of these life energies that goes on. So to have the floral compost available to wine growers, I'm still a little bit out in the limb on that from a practical point of view. But the interesting thing that when you have a wine grower, you have fellow workers working with you, and we have been putting down 500 horns just in the last descending period. And, you know, all these people come along and they get hugely enthusiastic and excited and and then they go home and think, oh my God, what am I going to do? I don't even have a cow's horn, or I don't even have whatever it is. And that's where I think this floral compost could be the adjunct to what it is that we're doing in a very, very, very positive way, both in the beginning and also at the end, in the urban and in the rural. And if that makes sense, you know, you actually got this group, you've got the crystal of the wine growing, and then you've got the social community of the people who are working within it. And you know what the cheapest fertilizer is on this earth? Enthusiasm. And that's what we want to fill our staff, workers, co-workers, colleagues, family, children with, is enthusiasm.
Wow.
And closing, I don't know if that's really answering the question, but you know, who had the formula E equals MC squared? It was about energy. Who had that one? Who made that formula?
Einstein, right?
Indeed. And as biodynamic practitioners, we follow that same formula, but our analysis of it, or our mantra of it, is enthusiasm equals a mass of people with resonating consciousness squared. It's going to be the most flourishing thing you could ever have.
Thank you.
Thank
I think we'll stop this little recording there for the
Oh,
floral.
no, I want to hear your version briefly. Is that possible?
Sorry, I didn't hear the.
I just want, okay, you want to stop it now and we can have a.
And we carry on talking and brainstorm the next stage and things that we might not say on camera.
Oh my golly. Okay.
Okay, unless Kate, there's anything you want to just wrap up this little.
No, I think that was beautiful, James. I love that idea of enthusiasm that inspires such movement and the masses. And I love that concept. So thank you. That's beautiful.
So James, your enthusiasm for this work is definitely fertilizing and feeding and building, and I think that how on earth did you two get chosen to present has been like we have to make sure the presentation is worthy of the community we're presenting to.
Yeah, and just as a little question before you turn off, it's interesting in this planet Earth at the moment, sitting in the cosmos, is that we're talking continuously about climate change and global warming. Yes, everyone's talking the talk. Not many people are walking the walk. And one of the things with the harmony of the earth, the water, the air, and the light with biodynamics is that there is a real possibility that we can harmonize some of this climate change that's happening. It's a frightening thing, but when you use preparation 501, the quartz crystals, for example, to bring in the air and the light and the luminosity, after some time, and it could be 7, 14, 21, or 28 years, or 35 years, but it's in a rhythm of 7. I noticed, since we did it for 40 years or more, that when we'd apply this preparation in the early morning, like I have behind me in the sunrise, like that, you know, this draft of energy just went up like this, and people working in the vineyard or around about that say, what are you doing? What are you doing? And if you think that you're trying to either bring the light, take the light out, or bring the light in, or whatever, I think this, with the preparations we have and the herbs that we have available, is actually harmonized, that we will learn and people will understand that it's actually harmonizing this disruption that we have presently in this world. And that disruption is based on most probably nitrogen. Oh. Shall we stop?
Shall we stop? Thank you. Stopping the recording now.